with you building out the 7-figure business centered around community, sustainability, and going against the grain of beauty standards, what are 3 lessons you've learned with hitting different financial milestones up to this point? So starting from your earning your first dollar to your first 100,000, 250,000 to a million plus. What have been some of the lessons you've learned?
So the first lesson I learned was that there is a karma to when you launch a business, right? When I launched my business, I was overwhelmed with the love of the people that I knew. Like everyone I
Mm.
knew, from like one of my high school teachers and people I knew from kindergarten and people I knew from college and every job I ever had, everyone bought it. And
Mm.
it was the kindest kind of like warm blanket of love when your teeth are chattering and you're about to launch. It was the most amazing thing ever. So I think if you try and go through your life and you want to eventually be an entrepreneur.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's segment here on the Product and Packaging Powerhouse. I am your show host, Megan Young Gamble, and also Chief Project Officer at GLC, your packaging and project execution team. And me and my co-host Amaya are so excited for today's featured Powerhouse guest, because if you ever wondered how to grow your brand to a 7-figure sustainable business, this is the segment for you, because this powerhouse brand owner, woman, mom, wife, all the things, has built out an incredible community centered around intentional hair care that is sustainable and also effective. And I'm going to talk about my own experience using her products too. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege of having Mrs. Kate Assaraf, who is the CEO and founder of Dip Haircare brand. And I'm going to have her introduce herself, because nobody can introduce themselves like they can, right? And put some respect on her name and her credentials, okay? So before we get started, make sure you go ahead and hit that follow, like, subscribe button so you don't miss the episode. And you're going to want to leave some reviews after this segment too, because it is going to be action-packed. And I think it's going to be a masterclass from this guru herself. So ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to Mrs. Kate Assaraf. So Kate, welcome to the house.
Hello. Hey, thank you. That was a very warm welcome. And I think actually you might have done a better job than I would have ever done describing
Oh,
it. But yeah, my name is Kate. I am the CEO and founder of Dip Sustainable Haircare. It is very serious hair care for not so serious people. And I think a lot of people know what that means. I think a lot of people feel alienated from the beauty marketing that's out there. It's very hoity-toity and doesn't seem to resonate with the people you know in real life. So I tried to build a brand that was friendlier, but really high performance. And it was built out of the frustration of, I found sustainable products. The only thing that was cool about them was that they were plastic free, but they were never really as effective as the stuff in bottles, and pertaining to hair care especially. So I thought I could solve this problem myself, and I did.
I love that, Kate. And it's such a need, because to your point, the beauty industry, there's so much talk around, what products you use, why you need to go with this product versus that product, the different types of packaging that you should consider, and all the aspects. And so for you to create this out of your own need, serious hair care for non-serious people, I love that, because that means it's for everybody, something for everybody from your full portfolio. And as we're going through this segment, ladies and gentlemen, listeners and viewers, make sure you check out the website too, dipalready.com, because you're going to see all the products that she offers, which is very intentional as well. And so, Kate, I would love to ask you, you built the Dip brand from your own personal need. I know it started from when you had your son and you were a mom and growing with your little ones and stuff like that too. And your husband's in this industry as well. But what really made you create the Dip hair care brand centered around sustainability?
First I found out when I was pregnant with my first son, so that's 2014. I found out that plastic was creating not only issues like accumulating on the planet, but also it was creating animal and human health issues and aquatic life
Mhm.
issues. So, the endocrine disruptors from plastic were seeping into wildlife habitats and into human health. Now we're seeing, like, fast forward where it's 11 years later now, we're seeing that is completely coming into the mainstream knowledge. People are finding out now that plastic is really bad for your health and for your children and for, pets, fish, everything. And that is beyond the very, really, I would say, surface level of accumulation, which was really the predominant conversation around plastic before. And so I pretty much, I tried to reduce my own plastic as my own mission. And I was just so frustrated because I think, marketers out there created this avatar of who they thought plastic free people were. And it wasn't me. It was like this marketing avatar of like a crunchy granola person, however you imagine that in your head. And that is not me. Like I want something to perform. I want something to be like everything that it says it was. I just didn't want the plastic. And I'm not scared of science. Like I want, I don't want to use the word chemicals. Everything has chemicals in it, but I want the performance ingredients in the bars, just not the plastic. Like, there's this weird disconnect where you think that just because someone wants to reduce their plastic, that's like their only reason for purchasing something. And so that's not the reality for consumers. Consumers want a multifaceted product that works, and they want it to, if you're going to inspire like long-term change, it better work, and it better be something someone buys more than once and continues that change of habit. And so that was my mission. I really wanted to get people, first of all, the plastic conversation is so scary. So I
Yeah.
wanted to lead people into the plastic free conversation through hair, because I think hair is emotional and fun.
Yeah.
And kind of like the byproduct of that, or the externality of that conversation, is then thinking about plastic in the other parts of your life just because you've made the one change.
I love that. And, I think that's very intentional of how you thought about creating the Dip hair care brand centered around sustainability. Because to your point, and there's no shade, I'm not knocking any brands or companies out there, but, when you look at the marketing that a lot of companies put out and talk about sustainability, a lot of it, from my perspective and working in the industry, is centered around sustainable packaging, but sometimes the sustainable products or the sustainable ingredients, sustainable operations are not part of the full sustainability aspect. And I remember going through, when you talked about chemicals, she has a really great write up, talking about natural versus synthetic fragrances on her website. And one of the anecdotes that she mentioned was chemicals aren't the problem. 2D understanding of sustainability is. And so, to your point, everybody needs to look at what sustainability really means and the impact of it and how it resonates with the end consumer, because there's a lot of aspects that has to be considered, not just the packaging. It needs to really be the ingredients, the products, the packaging, and the operations to truly be, part of sustainability and not having to be a 2D, aspect of it.
There's so many consumers that are headline readers and
Yeah.
comment readers, but they don't read the meat in between. And I think, and I'm guilty of that sometimes too, right? Like I'm like, ooh,
Yeah, we
headline,
are.
ooh, what are people saying about it? But it's becoming a rare behavior to click into the actual meat of what people are talking about. And so what you
Absolutely.
see, especially in the fragrance conversation, you see people commenting on the comments instead of really going in and seeing that fragrance exists on a spectrum, and there are benefits to synthetic fragrance, and then
Yeah.
there's a clean category of synthetic fragrance, and there's standards for it, and some of those are internationally recognized. And then
Yeah.
on top of that, there are many questionable things with essential oils, right? So
Yeah.
I've never gone to the church of essential oils, or I guess I used to before I really dove into the synthetic versus natural scenting options. But after
Hmm.
really, really doing a deep dive and talking to many chemists, I am a strong advocate for synthetic fragrance when it is done correctly, like phthalate free.
Yeah. Oh, I would love for us to just talk a little bit about that because people think synthetic fragrances are bad, and that's not always the case when it's done properly, So, from your own experience with creating intentional hair care and sustainable products using sustainable ingredients, what has been your perspective of using synthetic fragrances for some of your products?
So with synthetic fragrance, what's amazing about them is that you can create them very, very clean, free of known endocrine disruptors. We can't say that they're free of unknown ones because we don't know. So they're
Right.
free of known endocrine disruptors, and they are always the same. They're homogenized. So every batch of synthetic fragrance that you get not is held to a higher standard, but that standard is kept always. It's always the same
Yeah.
formula for it. Whereas essential oils, the thing that really bothers me about essential oils is you need a lot of land to grow them. The synthetics are stronger smelling too, so the scent lasts longer. So you need more oils, the volume of oils to create a long-lasting scent in something like a shampoo or conditioner bar. You cannot control the farming or labor practices that bring those scented oils over into like the mass market. So if you're thinking about something like lavender, you might be getting it from like 500 different that oil, so you don't know how much land it took, how the farming practices, how the farmers are treated. A lot of this stuff is important in the sustainable world, is like, how are people being treated? And so some of the more exotic essential oils, you have no idea how these people are being treated, the people farming
Yeah.
essential oils, and what the price fluctuations that happen when there's climate change, when there's a drought, a flood. Any of those things automatically can like skyrocket the price of the essential oil. But regardless of all that, the scariest
Yeah.
thing for me was that I heard that a lot of essential oils, not all of them, but a lot of them are cold pressed with pesticides on the plant. So
Oh,
what people don't realize is that not only are essential oils are packed with allergens in the first place, and in synthetics you can kind of take out a lot of the known allergens, but also the pesticides being on the plant. They have one reason for existing, and that is to kill, right? So like
yeah.
the
Yeah.
idea that pesticides can go into these essential oil batches and they're not listed on any ingredient list or any of that is frightening to me. And so that
Yeah.
made the decision easier of which ones I was going to use. I was like synthetic, right? Because I have two little boys, and I want them to use the products, and I want to feel good
Yeah.
about anyone using our products. But the other piece of it is just like it was very, when we launched, it was very against the grain to go synthetic to
Yeah.
the sustainable world. Like I've had to
Yeah.
explain that fragrance thing so many times. People come at me and tell me I'm wrong, or they come at me and like they're like, I don't buy the fragrance conversation, and I'm like, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other brands that do it a different way. This is based on my knowledge and what I want to see in the world. That's
That's
right.
right.
Maya knows. She's
Exactly.
going to read the full article. She's not just going to read the comments, right? And so,
Exactly.
that was a risk I took, and a very deliberate choice. But for me, it's the right move. And we also offer fragrance free for anyone that doesn't want fragrance at all. I understand that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for breaking that down and being transparent about it because one thing that you mentioned that I didn't even think about is with essential oils, how it's cold pressed and it still may have the pesticides, contained in it.
It blew my
Yeah.
mind when I heard that. It like really rocked my world. And I was like, are you sure? Is that really what's happening? They're like, yeah, that's what, not
Wow.
always, but many times, if you're looking at you're harvesting a plant, it's speed. Like
Yeah.
it's a speed thing. Get the oils out as fast as they can.
Wow. And I think that's something, advantageous for any brand owner or company to think about too is, because first, a lot of brands are like, we want to use essential oils, especially startup brands. And, to each its own. However, it's like, do your due diligence and work with a chemist or formulator, to help you think about what your proprietary formula should look like, to consider if essential oils is the route or what the implications or risk could be. That's right, baby. Or, synthetic fragrances and what that could look like too. So it really what you talked about is working with the chemist, working with the formulator, going through multiple iterations of your formulation in batches to see what works. and also what's being positively received in the marketplace too, because your products are tested with salons. This is not just a brand that she's whipping up in her kitchen,
No,
and pushing it out. I mean, she's not a seven-figure business for that reason, right? And some people do that, but hey, that's a whole nother topic for another day.
totally.
But as part of that, it really goes to show that she really invested into the brand, working with intentional chemists and formulators, seeing what actually works, going through multiple iterations of her formula. Because I would love to ask you, Kate, like, considering where you started with dip and where you're at now and using sustainable ingredients, synthetic fragrances, etc., how many iterations have you gone through? Because you have a good bit of products, that are available through the Dip Hair Care brand.
So for me, there was about 40 initially. And
Wow.
what I really wanted to do with my chemist, so I hired a chemist who has made some of the most famous hair care in the world, but had never made bars before. And I told him, I was like, I want one bar for all hair types. I want it to be that like family with different hair types, curl patterns, they can all share it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to expect a family to
Yeah.
purchase 4 or 5 different types of shampoo and conditioner. Like, who has the shower that can have
Yeah.
have all of those bars or bottles?
Yeah.
But also, it's just the idea of a family having to purchase less, and it's becoming very important now in an economy that is shrinking or
Yeah.
contracting. And so for me, that was the most important thing. I was like, people want to just shop their scent, and I want to give them something that, like, my best friend has type 4 hair. She's been my best friend since I was 11, and we were never able to really share hair care. We would like travel. And one of the things that really came to my attention was that when we were traveling, she needed like 4 of those mini bottles of conditioner at one shampoo, but she needed like 4 mini bottles of conditioner at a hotel. And she was always kind of like, getting a side eye as if she was taking more than her fair share.
Yeah.
It's horrifying, like you don't really, because I never had to deal with that. But when you are standing next to someone that has that kind of like side eye thrown at them as if they're trying to get free stuff for a very normal hair for them, that's something that I never wanted my customers to feel. I wanted 2 best friends like us to be able to share it.
And I can appreciate that because I have 4C, 4B, 4C type hair. So I have mixed hair types, and I've gone through relaxed hair to natural straight hair to a big fro to now locks, braids, extensions, wigs, you name it, I've done it. Colored, cut, all the things. And so to your point, traveling, even growing up, having to use 4 to 6 bottles of conditioner, especially when we went swimming. We had to wear swim caps, and it was a whole process traveling and swimming in summertime. But to your point, having to use that many bottles of conditioner just for our natural hair care regimen is problematic. And it takes a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, and we do get the side eye. So for you to create, working with your chemist to create your shampoo and conditioner bars that's for all hair types is phenomenal. And that really goes to show that you really took 40 plus iterations to create these formulations as well, to be intentional in serving everybody, regardless of hair type.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Thank you. And I was very, very lucky to be in New Jersey, where I was, I have a diverse group of friends, and I told them, I was like, rip it apart. Every iteration, I was like, try it, rip it apart. Tell me what you love, what you hate, all of that stuff. And, that is how the obsession turned into the finished product, which became the formulas for dip. And I'm like very, very proud of these formulas. I really, really like the idea of one family, even having 2 sets of bars. Like I want you could just have a shower with 1 set and that's it. Like, I don't really need to sell 10 bars to one family for one to be used all at the same time. That's crazy.
Oh, and listen, I have a young little, so for me now, everything is like, okay, what products can we use for the whole family and not just for me?
Right.
So to your point, I can use these products for my daughter Amaya. I can use it for myself. I can use it for my husband. So it's a hair care line for all of us, and I love that. And I want to say one thing too for startup brands who are just starting off that Kate just mentioned. She had a focus group evaluate her products and give her feedback on the various iterations. So if you are not incorporating the feedback from focus groups, I need you to start. That's right. Amaya said it too. You need to be incorporating focus groups because those are advantageous for your brand and really getting raw, authentic feedback. And I tell my startup brands who come to me for packaging support all the time, have you conducted a focus group? They're like, no, should I? Absolutely. Don't create this product just for you. Like,
And
I need to go to the drawing board.
you got to choose your meanest friends too, the ones that love to like rip you apart. Like in
Oh,
New
yeah,
Jersey, that's part of the culture. So we
absolutely.
all rip each other apart, but you have to have your mean friends give you the honest truth about it, because
Absolutely.
customers are 1,000 times meaner than your meanest friend.
That part. I was like, I need the red. Where are your redliners? If you have regulatory and legal part of your team, I call them the redliners. So you need the redliner friends who's gonna give it to you raw, give you no fluff. If you ever want me to test it, I would tell you, because I'm like, I don't give any fluff. I don't have time for that. So you heard Kate say it here on the Product and Packaging Powerhouse. Get your meanest friends to give you that raw feedback as part of your focus groups. Okay. So I love this. And so, Kate, you mentioned at the beginning of this episode in our conversation that Dip Hair Care is really a zero waste and plastic free hair care brand. And I look at you and your brand as more than just a brand. It's really a movement, especially with the community that you cultivated. So, what was that aha moment that came about when your brand came to fruition? You went through 40 plus iterations of the formula and not wanting to have plastic as part of your portfolio that's rooted in sustainability, playfulness, and bold rebellion.
My aha moment is really so Dip launched in 2021 in October, and I was really really tired of brands talking to me like I was a freaking idiot, you know.
Wow.
And so
Okay.
I'm going to talk to people like they're smart. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm not going to hire people to say they like my brand that didn't pay for it. And I'm not going to use all these marketing tactics that people hate but are just abundant in beauty. Like people cannot stand watching someone who obviously did not pay for the product talk about how great it is. Because like paying for it and spending your hard-earned money on something is part of having an actual review.
Yeah.
Like you can't just give someone something and be like, and have them give you a 5-star review. Like people, I think customers can see through that.
Yeah.
I honestly, and I'm customer. Like I buy things, and watching the way we treated the public really really bothered me. And so I was like, I'm gonna turn this on its head, and the beauty marketing I see, and I'm not gonna engage in any of that kind of corny style of marketing that I don't.
Yeah. I love that. And if you go to her website, if you receive any of her product, if you even look at the back of her packaging, like my favorite product from her is enzyme cleansing spray. Okay, the secret sauce, because it is a secret sauce in a bottle. If you just look at the back of it and just read the marketing copy, it is genius. And it's something, where she talks about serious hair care for non-serious people. I'm one of those, I'm a serious person, but I'm a non-serious person in, behind the scenes. And she tells you, like, we with the shits, excuse the language, but, and we love that. That's right. And so she's not adding any fluff or that hoity-toity marketing copy that you see out here. She's being her true, authentic self. And I think that's what resonates with your community, too. That's right, baby.
Even, when we launched our bar soap, just like the body wash, I was really struggling with the marketing. And the marketing ended up just saying, this is just going to get you clean.
I love that.
And I think people really like that. I had a lot of people, take pictures of it and share it on Instagram. They're like, finally, some real marketing, like just honest marketing. Because it's just soap. Like talking about soap as if it's going to save the world is just not genuine. It's people want to feel good about their purchases, sure. So you take the plastic away. But to try and convince people that, shampoo and soap and all these things are really going to save the world, it's what these choices kind of inspire you to do in like the bigger cloud of your life. And that's something I try and let people know, not a lot. Like I'll never show like a seagull carrying like the 6-pack ring on our marketing because it has nothing to do with anything. And you can't scare people into using your products. It has to just be good.
Yeah. Absolutely. And one of the things, I'm going to show the marketing card, if I can reach it here. One of the marketing cards that was in my package had a young lady on a beach. She had a stuck hair comb or hairbrush. She also is looking at a bottle of some product, like, okay, how am I going to use this product for my thick, coily, coarse hair as I'm on the beach? And then you read the back of it, and it's like, we're very simple, straight to the point. There's no fluff. It's just all fun facts and sustainable ingredients in the packaging too. And telling you how to use the shampoo bar, the conditioner bar, how to pair it with some of the other products in the portfolio. Like that is what worked for me. And I was like, come on, Carly, tell me how to use the product. I love that. You
Yeah,
know, and so to your point, just saying it's just soap. It's just, we're not curing cancer.
exactly.
you know?
Like the beauty industry has gotten like high on itself in a weird way. It's like, especially sustainability. It's like, can we just bring it back down to earth? People are washing
Exactly.
their hair with this and they're washing their body. Like, it's stop making it something bigger. And I understand, like,
Yeah.
for me, like, I have a bigger mission. I want people to shop in stores and I want people to realize that you want to, because I encourage people to buy dip in their local retailers or salons if they have one. That's
Yeah.
mostly so that, your money stays in your community and funds the things that
Mm.
you care about, like libraries and, firefighters and your public spaces, your gardens, like all like we're right now as a population, we're sending our money straight to Amazon. Everybody is. And that doesn't
Yeah.
impact your community at all. And so
Mm.
my big mission that's like bigger than, plastic is just to get people to remember the small stores in their town.
Oh, I love that because you're a star, I don't want to say small, you're a growing, evolving, seven-figure business, sustainable business at that, an evolving brand, that's operating myself. My husband has his brand as well. So we're two businesses under one household. So I love the fact of how you're really encouraging people to tap into their local communities because that's how we keep the dollar circulating at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Now I understand the retailers, I understand Amazon, and if it's for you, that is for you. But the fact that you're really really encouraging people to stay within the local community. I love that. And that goes back to your core mission that you
And I
talked about.
shop on Amazon too. So I'm not telling everyone don't
Yeah.
shop on Amazon. So like, I'm
No,
just saying,
absolutely.
yeah, that there's, because there's a group of people that would finger waggle me and be like, you shop on Amazon and you can't be preaching this. And it's like, I do shop on Amazon. Everyone shops on Amazon. The idea is to do it a little bit less if those things are available to you locally. And
Yeah.
if you're in a rural area where there's nothing locally, yeah, Amazon is a godsend, but we will also ship to you.
Yeah.
It's pretty
I
simple.
love that. I love that. And so I want to switch gears a little bit because since you brought up Amazon, ladies and gentlemen, Kate has built her brand without selling her products on Amazon or initially, with major big box retailers. So, Kate, I would love to hear from you. Okay, Maya, tell us. You gonna ask her the question? Okay. You gonna wait for mommy? Okay. So I would love to ask you, like, what made you decide not to go through the Amazon platforms and really be intentional about just starting B2C with your operations?
Sure. I am very in love with the refill movement. The United States, if you don't know what a refillery is, there are places where you can bring your empty laundry detergent jug and just go in and refill it with laundry detergent that has less harsh chemicals in it. Or you can refill hand soaps, or you can refill, some of them have like dried mango juice, some have spices, some have all sorts of stuff. The idea is that you really don't need to keep buying the packaging over and over again for many different items. You can buy it once and refill. And some, certain products absolutely need packaging with every purchase, but there's some that don't. I would say laundry detergent, you don't need to keep buying big bulky jugs. But, so I saw this emerging store type, right? Like this emerging market. And I really went around the country and got to meet these store owners and got to talk to them about what I was trying to do. And I really fell in love with the type of person that opens this kind of store and really is trying to manage plastic and how they bring their community into the store and really create options for people that they didn't have before. Like I cook a lot. I don't know whether you cook a lot, but I cook a lot, and the amount of money I save on refilling spices is like crazy because they don't really weigh that much. So, you really aren't there's so, I mean, something I used to pay like $6-7 for, say like turmeric. It's a matter of cents when I buy it at the refill store. It's crazy. So anyway, I also realized that a lot of sustainable brands built their built their traction in this type of store and then would go to Amazon, and then the stores had a really tough time selling their products. And for me, it was really important to stay off of Amazon to preserve the relationship that those stores had with their customers. Because once dip is on Amazon, people are going to order it there. That's where they're going to get it. But if I could create a little bit of friction that gets someone to keep coming into store and checking out their local spot, like maybe they'll buy dip and maybe they'll refill something. And that to me is a win, because I think we're losing the plot a little bit with convenience. And I'm kind of trying to steer people into like a less convenient way of shopping. But I do think it's important to know the store owners in your town, in your neighborhood, that make it cool.
Hey, I just love this. I'm loving this conversation and the intentionality behind everything that you're doing, not only from the ingredients to the packaging, but also like tapping into your local community. That's part of sustainability and not that 2D approach.
I wanted to show it could be done. Like I was curious myself, like could this be
Yeah.
done? And it could be done well. And I don't know if I'll ever, but I have a good time, and I can honestly say that I've created wealth in different pockets for different entrepreneurs all around the country, with the fact that I'm able to share my dip sales with retailers and I don't undercut them online.
I love that. And Amaya's adding her commentary to our conversation as well. And I love that, being intentional to really focus on D2C and local retailers like refillery spots. Like that's a genius partnership, because you would not think about it, and it aligns with your core mission. And also some of the practices that you're implementing, like refilling spices, So, it's like, why not tap into and have the partnership with those local mom and pop shops, who can really use the business and use the foot traffic coming in versus going to a big box retailer. Because I feel like a lot of brands, that's where they always want to go, Amazon or big box retailers. And, to each its own. But I love that approach and the intention behind that too. And I'm sure, those local companies and brands and shops definitely appreciate that as well.
It's more fun this way. I don't know whether it's just kind of an old school. I kind of like pretend it's the late 80s, early 90s, and we could just kind of like have our neighborhood stores. And like, I love the human to human interaction that it brings back, because we're living in a world of digital pollution, right? Like it was already polluted before AI came around with like fake reviews, fake hype, all this nonsense. And then AI came around and we have a whole new level of fake nonsense out there. And so what's the better filter than your own gut? Like going into a store and being like, hey, I heard about dip. I heard about XYZ product. Like, what do you think about it? And the person behind the counter can say, hey, we tried, 60 different shampoo and conditioner bars. We stock a dip because it's the best. Like they have to invest in the stuff that's on their shelves. They've curated the best of the best for you. And I think that that's an important thing to remember. We're constantly buying stuff online and getting disappointed and returning it. But if you could just buy it, and look someone in the eye as they're selling it to you, it's a totally different experience, and people have lost it a little bit.
It goes back to where we would go to, when we were growing up, like really tapping into and having like the local stylists, going there and like, what products do you recommend? And we would purchase the products from them. I know for me growing up in Little Rock, Arkansas, getting my hair done all the time, I knew about the products from my cosmetologist, my stylist, to the type of clothes we should wear, going to local stores, local businesses, seeing what's the new latest trend at that time. We'll talk about the brands later, but at that time we were going there and they would be our personal stylist to curate different looks for us based upon what we liked. And so going back to that element, I think is really critical, because to your point, we're in a society of convenience, and we want everything instantly right now. But we are doing a lot of returns. Like the return percentages are astronomical, because we're buying something, try it on, it doesn't fit. Postpartum body, nothing fits right now. I don't like how anything looks, so I'm sending it back, versus going to a local boutique and be like, can you curate a few looks for me that are interchangeable and something I can use all the time as well.
I think we need to return to just like the empathetic human way of shopping.
Yeah.
And I think the sooner we do that, the better it is for everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
The idea that people are just like kind of blindly returning stuff to Amazon at crazy rates, like that stuff a lot of it, I think Amazon's trying to mitigate that and figure out ways to resell returns and stuff. But like,
Yeah.
there's so much of it they can't even keep up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it just goes to show you, like, I'm holding my daughter's hair comb, because she was carrying this. And I was like, oh, how fitting for Kate's interview as one of the things for her to play with. But nevertheless, to your point, it is something that we definitely have to look at on a much larger scale. And Amazon, they have the team and the resource behind it. But for brands like yourself, you're not trying to, you offer a 30-day money back guarantee. And that's like the first thing you see on your website. And so I'm curious, based upon returns, and you offering that guarantee, like, why does Dip Hair Care have a guarantee around their products?
Well, it started mostly because we never had the guarantee up there. I've always made things right with our customers if they were, but our return rate is like something crazy, like 0.006%. It's really,
wow.
However, every single one of our competitors had the return, like the 30-day return rate up. And I was like, you know what? I'm happy to give that confidence to our customers. And so that's the very honest reason it's why it's up there. But we've always, from the beginning, like, I actually have human customer service at my company. There's no, if you write to Dip, usually you'll get me first, or then you'll go to Janet. And we always want to know if there's an issue with something, because it's very important. That's how we learn, and we will always make it right within reason, of course. Like, you can't return like a tire to us like they did it back in the day, But for the most part, our customers stay with us, and they're wonderful, and it's really, really rare to have returns.
Okay.
What we do see is like return fraud. So sometimes people they'll buy a cheaper shampoo and conditioner bar and Dip, and then they'll return Dip to get their money back, but put the competitors' cheap bars. Like, they'll keep our bars and put the competitors' ones in our boxes. So we have this new practice of like opening everything and seeing, like, are they returning our stuff? Are they returning our, cheap competitor?
Yeah. And so this brings up an interesting question, because I believe we're seeing a lot of return fraud, universally across the board. And so with you being a startup brand, you run your own operation, you have your own team, you have your own facility. How are you, like, logistically and operationally, like, how does that impact, like, the profit margins, the increase in labor, because everybody now has to hand open every single box and make sure it's actually your bar?
Luckily, our return rate is so low, and the people that are sustainable and engage in this kind of fraud it's 1 out of 10,000. So it's not so heavy or labor intensive on our side. We all kind of like laugh about it at a team. But then the other piece of it is, like, after the laughter, you're kind of thinking of like, man, how desperate are people in this economy that this is like their behavior. And, worries me a little bit, just because you see, if this is happening at my company, which, like, the sustainable crew is pretty cool, right? Like, they're pretty honest, and they're great. Like, I can't imagine what it's like a company where there isn't a sustainability audience.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for being honest and transparent about it, because I think that's the ugly truth that people and brands don't really think about when they're offering returns, like what that look like based upon poor behavior of others. It's like WTF, but nevertheless, here we are. It's like, just bless their hearts, say a prayer for them, wish them the best, and keep it moving is what you can do at the end of the day.
You can't convince people. Sometimes it's really rare that we get like a really prickly customer, but you can't convince people who are determined to fight with you that, that your product is amazing or any of those things. You're just like, okay, I'll make it right for you. Like, sometimes, when you make something right for someone, like, and there's nothing left to return and there's no more money to exchange, like, they still want to come at you. And that is a personality problem of that person.
It is.
Totally convinced there's just people that want to follow you around and yell at you all the time.
Yeah.
I hope I don't encounter any more of those. It's maybe one a year I get.
Okay. Well, you're always going to have those type of people, but at the end of the day, you have a community of people that love you, that love the products, they showcase that they work. I can attest to myself, because I tried the Dip Hair Care brand, and let me just say, this secret sauce is some secret sauce, because being in postpartum, using this on my locks to help cleanse my scalp, because I'm not washing my hair as much as I should. Don't judge me, okay, listeners and viewers. However, this has definitely helped with cleaning my scalp in between taking care of my daughter. You heard of Maya. She's on the podcast. She's now 6 months at the time of this recording. And I love how it feels on my scalp. And so I love this product. So I'm not an ambassador. I'm not, this is just raw feedback. When she talked about the mean friends, I'm that mean friend that will tell you to straight, but this is no fluff. I love this product. And I've used some other scalp sprays. They irritate my scalp. My scalp is red. It doesn't properly clean it. So I've been through about 10 of these scalp sprays in probably the last year.
That's a lot of scalp sprays. Can I tell you something else about the secret sauce that's really cool?
Tell me.
If you are because you have Amaya 6 months old, if you have like a tragic spill or she knocks your red wine over on your white t-shirt, it will take red wine out of a white t-shirt.
Really?
I keep it. I have one in my car. I have one in my laundry room. It'll take stains out of.
Girl. Oh yeah, I'm about to get me another bottle so I can put it in my car because
it's just unsexy. The thing that's like formulated for hair, like it's like, oh, it'll also take like, stain out. But it's so when you're in mom mode with a 6-month baby, like it's so convenient. Like it's amazing.
And see, this is the convenience that we need, right? So talking about we talked about convenience with people and purchase behaviors, but this is the convenience that any mom, parent, professional, anybody can use, because at this point, just with the economy, everybody's being very cost conscious, how, and based upon their purchases, and purchasing behavior is down as well. And so to have something that is multi-purpose and faceted like this, oh baby, I'm about to have one in all our cars, all around the house, everything.
You'll be just like me. I have one everywhere. And it's like, I was with the team. I took my team to Sri Lanka, and we were like celebrating the first stain, like very harsh stain. We're like, oh, someone get the secret sauce. And we're like spraying it.
I love it.
I mean, it's amazing for hair, and that is what it's for. But it just has some other extra secret bonuses that come with it.
See, that's the secret sauce that nobody has thought about. So go and get you some secret sauce, the enzyme cleansing spray for your hair, your clothes to get the red wine out, and more on dipalready.com, because it is just that secret sauce. And one thing I also want to mention, because Kate is big about zero waste as part of the Dip Hair Care brand, her enzyme spray is in plastic bottles. But I want to highlight something that she talks about around sustainability, which is great field dead stock. And so I'm going to read what's on the back of her label. So this is no fluff. I'm not making this up. So dead stock is any discontinued or obsolete inventory that is thrown out to make room for new styles. These unsold custom bottles were rescued, relabeled, and filled with great product. So the fact that as part of sustainable ingredients, sustainable mission, sustainable community within the local environments, she is going to purchase obsolete packaging from other brands that cannot use it and put in the secret sauce inside of there. So the packaging may differ for this production run from the next production run. And I presume, Kate, that doesn't even matter, because what matters is the secret sauce, right? And
beauty, it's beauty. What's on the inside that counts. Like everyone says it, but when it comes to beauty packaging, people they don't shop that way. But that, to me, that packaging is so ugly. Like, it's almost like funny that it's in the line. Like, I would never choose that packaging. It's gross. Like, I do not like it. But I think it's really funny to turn the beauty industry kind of on its head a little bit and be like, so what? We have an ugly thing in there. Who cares? But we saved all of this plastic it was going to go straight to a landfill. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time and overheard that it was going to go away. And I really wanted to do this product, and I couldn't figure out how to have the same effect plastic free. So I was like, oh man, this is it. This is the solution. So that,
I love that.
Awesome.
And that goes back to what we talked about earlier, that bold rebellion, like going against the grains of what beauty defines as beauty. And I'm saying that in quotes. And you're like, oh, I don't even like the packaging. But the fact that I was able to rescue this from another brand so it wouldn't go into the landfill, that is sustainability and not looking at it from a 2D perspective.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's funny. Like, it's just funny.
It is. It's funny as hell. Like, it tells you on the front, great field dead stock. And you're like, great field dead stock. What does that mean? If you're not even in the industry, you're like, what in the world does that mean? And you read it and you go to their website to learn more about it and see like the different photography. She's had a blue bottle, she's had this gold bottle, she's had different color bottles for this one product. And that goes
All
to show you.
ugly. I can see why they were going to landfill. I hate those.
Well, listen, the packaging and the labeling is what captures people's attention. The product is what keeps them in the pipeline. So that's what we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
And that's how you've been able to grow your brand to a 7-figure business. And so as we're rounding out for today's conversation, I would love to ask you, with you building out the 7-figure business, centered around community, sustainability, and going against the grain of beauty standards, what are 3 lessons you've learned with hitting different financial milestones up to this point? So starting from your earning your first dollar to your first 100,000, 250,000 to a million plus. What have been some of the lessons you've learned?
So the first lesson I learned was that there is a karma to when you launch a business, right? When I launched my business, I was overwhelmed with the love of the people that I knew. Like everyone I knew, from like one of my high school teachers and people I knew from kindergarten and people I knew from college and every job I ever had, everyone bought it. And it was the kindest kind of like warm blanket of love when your teeth are chattering and you're about to launch. It was the most amazing thing ever. So I think if you try and go through your life and you want to eventually be an entrepreneur, like don't step on the backs of other people and be cruel and mean to them, because if you are, if you're starting something, you'll feel the collective energy come to you. And I felt that our first week we sold around like $30,000 worth of products. Like it was crazy. And that was just from my network. And that was honestly like, it was like, it still like makes me choke up a little bit. But I think that first time where you're putting like your baby, your business, all of your work out there to market, it is, I was like sick the night before. I was like so ill. Like, I was so nervous about it. You have to get over the jitters. You can't let the jitters let you never start. And then you just have to embrace like the love that comes your way. I'm assuming everyone has people that love them.
Yeah.
You can't expect, and there will be people that you love that will not buy your product. You need to focus on the ones that do.
Yeah.
Right? Like the other ones will eventually come around if your product is good. But like a lot of people focus, they're like, like that's my best friend and they didn't buy my product. Like you can't focus on those people. You have to keep the energy, because your energy will feel weird when you're launching something.
Of course.
You have to just remember the good energy and like don't consider like the zero energy as bad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do. Because
like you have a wedding full of people you love, but you only remember the people that RSVP know. You can't do that. You got to remember all the people that came and supported you.
That part.
Yeah.
That
so
part.
that's the in the beginning, and then I think in the middle, the advice is do not do everything yourself. Like you are not needed to be good at everything. Like I study economics. You need to specialize. Figure out the things that like you are good at or that you love to do that like light you up and get you out of bed in the morning, and the things that make you like hate the day, like so that's someone else's love. Like I don't love bookkeeping at all. My bookkeeper loves bookkeeping. So she does that, And so like that's the other thing.
Okay.
And then as you get really, really big, and I'm not really, really big. We've broken 7 figures, and it takes a long time to get to 8 figures there's a lot of room between those two. So we're 7+ figures. I think you have to remember to use the money that you accumulate to do, you have to put your money, if we have a great sales day, I usually try and find a GoFundMe that like a random one or a customer one. If I see sometimes like, cause we follow a lot of our customers back because I want to know what they're up to and what the general cloud of feeling is, or I don't want AI to tell me how customers are. I want to see, so you take the money that you do make and realize like it's a blessing and pay it forward somewhere. At the end of this year, we will have donated $50,000 to Surfrider. And the reason we chose Surfrider is because they send people to Congress to fight laws about plastic. better than I could on my own. Like I could talk about plastic all day, but Surfrider is actually sending people to change laws, and
Yeah.
that's and I take little bits of money and I pay them forward all the time. And that it's important when you're doing well. It's important to do that. It's important to do it. I usually do it quietly. I don't really talk about this stuff often, but you asked the
Yeah.
question, and I think people need to remember to not hoard their money. They need to give it out. You have employees, give them a bonus. Even if
Yeah.
it's small, like no one gets upset when they're an extra 250, 500, $1,000 ends up. They don't get upset about that. But it's really, really important. And I also reinvest in the people that help. Like for our store owners, I'm constantly reinvesting in the people that matter. And in a time of AI making it much easier to run a very lean company, I'm actually investing in the human elements that make my company great.
I love that. Kate, you could do a whole masterclass for brand owners, companies, department teams on how to really be intentional, about supporting the humans in your environment. So whether that's the retailers, Amaya's saying that too in the background, whether that's the local retailers, to the teams, to bonuses, to just community, to people you don't even know, strangers.
Yeah.
I think that's something we all can learn, and that's the good karma that
Yeah.
comes back around, as well.
At one point in my career, I lost like every dollar I ever owned, and you start to become very detached from money. Of course, we all need
Yeah.
it to like survive. It's the liquid that keeps things
Keep
flowing
things
between
going. Yeah,
people, but like you don't need so much of it that you can't pass them along,
that part.
and I think that that's what we're losing. I think that's what really makes people disenchanted with businesses when they think about businesses and capitalism and all these things. It's met with such a negative feeling. And
Yeah.
that's so understandable. And so the only thing I can do is lead by example. And every once in a while, I'll let people know that this is what we're doing. But it's really, really important to do that.
I love that. Oh, I want us to stay connected outside of this podcast, and we'll talk about that offline. But last question is building out dip, and you talked about the range going from seven figures to eight figures is a wide gap. And so within the next 3 to 5 years, what's next for the Dip Hair Care brand?
So I have this vision of where I want it to go.
Okay.
I want it's lofty, right? I want people to. We have never run advertising before.
Really?
We advertise in a surf magazine, but I've never run a TikTok or a Facebook or an Instagram ad. I think
Wow.
the next level of dip for me is going to be more intentional and to start advertising and getting people into local stores, because I think that they're having a very, very tough time staying afloat.
But
And if I could get people into these stores, like put an engine behind it, maybe that can help. So that's something I'm looking at. And I think if I do it in the right way and do it in a way that is inspiring instead of finger waggly, like maybe, we won't see a Spirit Halloween and an Urgent Care where all our favorite stores are. Like,
can't stand it.
that's what's happening.
It is. It is. I can't stand it. I can't stand it.
Yeah. If you can't stand it, then you got to shop at the places that are there right now, even if
Exactly.
it's just a little tiny thing. And I don't just mean consumer goods. I also mean like local restaurants. If you have like the mom and pop restaurant, also I'm like a sucker for Chili's. So like, yeah, I will go to the Chili's, but also like pepper in some locally owned restaurants that have the flair that bring your neighborhood's vibe, like it's all, you just have to do it all and remember why you chose the place you live.
I love that. And listeners and viewers, like Kate also has on her website brands we love. So when she talked about like the refillery stations and brands that are intentional about zero waste or plastic free, to local startup brands, she has some brands that they love and has some cool stuff too. So go to their website, get immersed into it, because there's some education there. It's also some cool things, brands you can support, and also checking out the full portfolio, because she has the shampoo, the conditioner bars, the hair and body oil. My favorite product, the secret sauce. So go ahead and get you some and add it to everywhere around your house and in your car, to even holders. So shower holders for the conditioner bars so they don't slip. We all know how we hate when the soap drops. Okay, so she has everything that you need all on her website. So go ahead and dip on over to dipalready.com and get you some of their awesome products and also read their blogs and possibly see how you can become an ambassador too if you submit your application as well. So, Kate, I have thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with you, and we could talk for like a much longer time frame, but I know you are a busy woman. And so we're going to start to wrap up. And ladies and gentlemen, if you've been rocking with us here on the Product and Packaging Powerhouse, you know we get into our featured Power Round. So it is 90 seconds that we display on the clock to see how many questions our Powerhouse can answer in 90 seconds. And so to give you some context of Kate's fun facts is she is a distance runner. Of course, she loves hair. And she used to do stand-up comedy in New York City. Okay, so we're going to put 90 seconds on the clock and see how many questions Kate can answer for our power round. So, Kate, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. So, as an avid distance runner, name your top 5 songs that are a must on your playlist.
Okay, so Brian Wilson by Bare Naked Ladies, Dirty Harry by the Gorillas,
Okay.
Wolf Like Me, TV on the radio, Las La Bonita, which is Madonna, and my favorite game, The Cardigans.
Oh, okay. I love that. Easy peasy. So, if you could give one piece of hair advice to your past self, what would it be?
Don't fear change. You don't want to look the same in all of your photographs when you look back. You want to have a wild time. Like you want to be like, oh my God, that was this phase of my life. And it was like you want to just go crazy.
Oh, I love that. And I can say that about my own hair journey, but that's a whole nother topic for another day. Okay. So you used to do stand-up comedy, and if you were to go on tour with some of your favorites, name 4 comedians that would be part of the lineup and the name of this tour.
Okay, so my number 1 is Mitch Hedberg. I love him so much.
Okay.
Jim Gaffigan.
Oh, good one.
Dave Chappelle.
Of course.
Tig Notaro. And we'd all be called the dipshits.
Oh, I love that. And a great way to tie in your brand, Dip Haircare too. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, which product do you use daily? Your shampoo bar or your enzyme cleansing spray?
Oh, the shampoo bar.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure you use both of them, but I had to ask one of them. Okay. And so, I'm gonna ask one final question. So, products and packaging go together like fill in the blank.
Cake and icing.
Ooh, that's good. And that's a great way to end us off for today. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard from the 7-figure sustainable business owner herself, Mrs. Kate Assaraf. And Kate, I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation for today. So please let everybody know how they can get in contact with you, support the brand, and also supporting the local communities that Dip Haircare and other brands are offering.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this so much too. Thank you so much for inviting me on and asking the best questions, making it really fun. You can find me, Kate Assaraf, on LinkedIn, or you can find the products dipalready.com. And if you go there, go to the store locator and see, it'll automatically populate the stores that are near you. And you can go and ask someone that is not me, not the brand owner, what they think about dip that sells it. And you'll find out a lot more than anything I could tell you. It would be raw and honest. So please do that.
I love that. And ladies and gentlemen, all the information will be down in the show notes for you all. So if you don't remember what she mentioned, don't worry. I got you. Just scroll on down to the show notes and all those links will be readily accessible for you as well. And also how you can see how any synthetic fragrances that Kate is using in her products are Credo certified as well, going against their Credo standards, and also highlighting the importance of community with the brands that they love and support as well. So thank you all so much for tuning in to today's segment here on the Product and Packaging Powerhouse. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating on all of your platforms that you listen and view us on. And then also make sure you share this with your network, because as I say, our net worth is based upon our network. Very similar to how Kate mentioned how she started the business, tapped into her local network to help her generate the first $30,000 in the first week. So that goes to show you the power of community. So thank you all so much, and be well, be blessed, and I'll see you on the next one.